I think today might be the day we get you to open your eyes. I haven't opened my eyes in 10 years. My therapist calls it optophobia, a fear of opening one's eyes. It all started in my teens, when I witnessed my parents getting murdered. My life was no different than a blind person. The only difference is they have no choice in the matter. But I had to adapt to life as if I was blind. I use a blind stick to get around. I can tell the difference between different coins just by how they sound. I've learned to read Braille. But when people find out I'm not blind, they either think I'm crazy or they think I'm a joke. It's hard to describe the constant feeling of being scared. I live in a perpetual state of terror. It's like closing your eyes to the scary parts of a horror movie. But for me, I kept them closed. I've seen many therapists over the years. Some have gotten close to helping me overcome my fear. But there is one major obstacle. I've been attending a support group for the past 5 years. And throughout those years, people would come and go. Normally, to overcome your fear, you need to face what it is you're scared of. The success rate for this is high. But how can I face my fear if I'm too scared to open my eyes long enough to face it? I always found my therapist's voice so soothing, and always wondered if the voice matched his face. I think today you need to explain to me what happened to your parents. I could feel the bile rise up from my stomach, and my hands began to clam up. I've never fully opened up about what happened all those years ago. It was my birthday, and my mom had just finished cutting the cake. I'm not sure where it came from, or how it got in the house. I watched as it crept up behind my parents. It moved slowly but with murderous intent. A bit like how a lion stalks its prey before it. What did this creature look like? He asked. It's like I have a picture of the creature seared into my brain. And I can still see it even with my eyes closed. His eyes were bright red and filled with a murderous hunger. I explained. My hands were shaking, and I could feel beads of sweat roll down my back. Take your time. I promise you are perfectly safe. My therapist said in a soft, caring tone. It was frothing at the mouth, and he had teeth and claws that looked like they could rip you apart. The sound of my therapist's voice had changed to a more concerning tone. Are you sure it wasn't a man and not an animal? He asked. It wasn't a man. It was some kind of beast. People don't move the way creatures move. And when it was done with my parents, it started to move towards me. I was struck with a paralyzing fear, and I couldn't do anything but close my eyes. I wasn't sure how long I was sitting there, but the police eventually came, and I haven't opened my eyes since. I could hear the glide of my therapist's pen as he made notes. I believe your phobia is your brain's response to the trauma of what you witnessed. It's protecting you from having to relive it. Kids process memories differently from adults. And in your case, saw the murderer as some kind of monster. I could feel a warming sense of calm rise up from my feet, flooding my brain. I promise you're in a safe environment, and there is no killer or creature in this room, said my therapist in a reassuring tone. I could feel my heart pound as I slowly began to open my eyes. My therapist had kept the room dark to protect my eyes. The sensation was probably what a blind person would experience when seeing the world for the first time. My eyes stung as they adjusted to what light was in the room. It took a few moments for my eyes to come into focus before I could see my therapist's soft, reassuring eyes. I always felt that the creature that killed my parents was always close and just waiting for me to open my eyes so I could watch as he ripped me apart. The fear was still there, but the room was empty, apart from me and the therapist. I told you there was nothing to be scared of. I was about to rejoice in my newfound sense of sight when I was stopped dead in my tracks by the sound of growling coming from behind my therapist. A sound I had only heard once before, when my parents were murdered. A feeling of intense dread overwhelmed me as I watched the same creature I was confronted with all those years ago creep up behind my therapist. It had the same red, hungry eyes as before, and pounced before I had a chance to warn him. My therapist screamed in the same agonizing pain my parents made as he was ripped apart. When it was done, it trained its sights on me, and before it could get to me, I shut my eyes again. You see, it's not a fear of opening my eyes. It's the fear of what would happen if I did.
Contestant number 0, would you like me to repeat the question?
There were tallies carved into the flesh of my skin. I stopped counting when they surpassed 1 million. 1 million cuts. 1 million questions. 1 million times I tried to end it all. My clothes were filthy, shredded, and glued to my skin. I wanted to scream, but my mouth wasn't allowed. I wanted to cry, but if I did, I would be punished. How long had it been since I ate, drank, took a bath? Across from me, Layla was trembling behind her podium, lit up in neon light. Her eyes unseeing, lips curved into a silent cry. If I didn't open my mouth in the next 30 seconds, we were screwed. I risked a glance at Jude, who was trying not to fall asleep, half-lidded eyes flickering. It was really hard not to look at the giant cavern in his chest, where his heart had been yanked out. Jude's punishment for not knowing who sang the song "Hit Me Baby One More Time." Unfortunately, Layla also landed on the revival prize.
Contestant number 0.
Straightening up, I smiled widely at the cameras, trying to ignore the iron chains wrapped around my ankles. The answer is Ryan Reynolds.
That's 100 correct answers in a row.
The host turned to the imaginary audience, and I had the sudden overwhelming urge to break the laptop playing fake applause. The large screen above us lit up with personalized prizes. I almost collapsed when I saw death. If I played my cards right, I could finally die. All of us could die.
All right. To win all of these prizes, you must answer the golden question.
She winked.
However, this time, you have the ability to ask a friend.
No. Jude's frenzied eyes found mine. Skip it. Shut up, Jude. Layla hissed. Can't you see what they're offering? It's clearly a trap. He slammed his buzzer, struggling in his own chains. I'm okay. I can answer it this time. I tried to smile at my fellow contestants, but they refused to look me in the eye. Jude glared down at his podium, shaggy, dark hair obscuring his face. Layla pretended to inspect her fingernails, but she was shaking.
Well, all right.
The host giggled.
Why don't we bring back Luke?
A body bag was dragged in. Inside, the remnants of Luke, contestant 6, who was force-fed battery acid for losing $600K. Luke's body was thrown in front of me. The dead boy's eyes flickered open, confused.
Okay, contestant number 0. For $7 million and all the prizes on screen, please answer the golden question. If you need help, I will allow you to pass the question on to contestant number 6.
Jude face planted his buzzer. We're so screwed. The host's smile widened, slipping right off of her face.
Contestant number 0, also Connor. What was the name of the child? The 6 of you brutally murdered